There is a particular speech many of us have rehearsed in the quiet theater of our own minds. It is the speech of return. It is the carefully crafted apology we practice before a difficult phone call, the justification we formulate before walking into a tense family gathering, the plea for acceptance we whisper to ourselves after a profound failure. We're trying to find the perfect combination of words to manage the disappointment of others, to soften the blow of our own absence, to perhaps bargain for a little bit of grace. This rehearsal is born from a deep and terrifying assumption that the road home is paved with merit, and that our welcome is conditional upon the quality of our apology. There is another, more subtle, internal monologue. It is the silent accounting of the one who never left, the one who stayed, who worked, who did everything right. It is a script of quiet resentment, a tally of injustices, a simmering frustration that one's own faithfulness has been taken for granted. It's the monologue of the person who feels lost, not in a far country of rebellion, but in the familiar, suffocating landscape of their own home. These two speeches, the prodigal's plea and the elder's protest, are not just two different stories. They are two sides of the same story. They are the two poles of human lostness, and they form the psychological core of what may be the most powerful and misunderstood story Jesus ever told. We call it the parable of the prodigal son, but that title is a profound misreading. This is not the story of one lost son. It is the story of two. To deconstruct this story, we must see it not as a simple moral tale, but as a deep archetypal map of the human soul. It begins, like so many of our own stories, with a rupture. The younger son comes to his father and makes a brutal request. "Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me." As we've explored in other stories, in that culture, this was a devastating statement. The inheritance was only distributed after the father's death. This was not a request for an early investment. It was a declaration. "You are dead to me. Your presence is an obstacle to my freedom. I want your stuff, not your relationship." It is the ultimate act of severing, a desperate flight for a self-defined identity. But what is he running from? The story implies the presence of the older brother, the dutiful, responsible one. In the psychology of family systems, this creates a powerful dynamic. The younger son may feel trapped, not just by the father, but by the role he is forced to play in contrast to his perfect brother. His rebellion is not just against authority. It is a desperate attempt to write his own story, to find an identity that is not simply the one who is not the older brother. He must go to a far country to find a self that feels authentic. And the father, in an act of profound and painful love, lets him go. He honors his freedom, even the freedom to self-destruct. He gives him the inheritance. He allows the rupture to happen. The younger son's journey to the far country is the classic hero's journey, inverted. He squanders his property in reckless living. This is the great experiment in radical individualism and hedonism. The belief that freedom is the absence of all constraints, and that meaning can be found in the accumulation of intense experiences. It is the philosophy of our own age. The endless pursuit of the next thrill, the next purchase, the next peak experience, all documented to prove that we are the authors of our own exciting lives. But the story is psychologically precise about the outcome. A severe famine arises. He runs out of money. The external resources dry up, and the internal emptiness is revealed. His desperate search for self ends in the ultimate loss of self. He, a Jew, ends up feeding pigs, the most unclean of animals, and is so hungry he longs to eat their food. He has become less than human in his own eyes. This is not just a state of poverty. It is a state of profound shame and self-loathing. His great experiment has failed catastrophically. The identity he sought to build has crumbled into dust. And then comes the turning point. The text says, "He came to himself." This is a beautiful and profound psychological phrase. It suggests that all this time in his reckless living, he was not himself. He was a caricature, a role he was playing. The coming to himself is the moment the ego breaks. It is the moment of rock bottom, where all illusions are stripped away. And in that moment of clarity, he remembers home, not as a place of restriction, but as a place of provision. How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread? But I perish here with hunger. It is a memory of a fundamental truth that his ego had forgotten. And it is here that he begins to rehearse that speech, the speech of the transactional return. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants." This is not yet a speech of pure love. It is a speech of merit, a business proposal. I cannot be a son, but I can work. I will earn my keep. I will pay back my debt. He is trying to find a way back into the system of merit, even if it is at the lowest possible level. He is still operating under the assumption that his relationship with his father is a contract that he has breached. He has no category for grace. And it is this assumption that is about to be violently, beautifully shattered. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion. The father has been waiting, watching. This is not a passive, angry waiting. It is an active, hope-filled vigil. The father's heart has been on that road with his son the entire time. And his first feeling is not anger, not, "I told you so." It is compassion, a gut-level parental empathy for his broken child stumbling home. And then he does the unthinkable, the scandalous. And he ran and embraced him and kissed him. As we've discussed before, a patriarch in this culture did not run. It was undignified, shameful. But the father abandons his dignity without a second thought. He runs through the shame. Why? Because in that culture, a son who had lost the family inheritance to Gentiles would be subject to a ceremony of humiliation by the village upon his return. They would break a pot before him, signifying he was cut off. The father is not running just to welcome him. He is running to intercept him, to get to his son before the village does, to cover his son's shame with his own honor, to publicly declare before any judgment can be passed, "This is my son. He is with me. He is protected." It is a radical, preemptive act of grace. The son, still on his own script, tries to deliver his rehearsed speech. "Father, I have sinned." But the father isn't listening. He has already interrupted the apology with the embrace. The acceptance comes before the confession is even complete. He shouts to the servants in a cascade of extravagant restoration, "Bring quickly the best robe, put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. Every command is a direct reversal of the son's degradation. The robe of honor covers the rags of his shame. The ring of sonship replaces the brand of an outcast. The shoes of a son replace the bare feet of a slave. The feast of celebration replaces the pig's food of his starvation. This is not a probationary return. This is an absolute, no questions asked, shocking restoration to the fullness of his identity as a beloved son. If this image of a grace that outruns our apologies, that interrupts our shame, speaks to a deep need in your own soul, let us know by liking this video. It is a signal that this message of radical acceptance is needed. And just as the celebration begins, the story pivots. And we meet the other lost son. The older brother is in the field, working. He is where he is always supposed to be, doing what he is always supposed to do. He hears the music and dancing, and he is filled not with joy, but with anger. He refuses to go in. His speech to his father is the perfect mirror image of his brother's. Where the younger son's was a plea from a position of unworthiness, the older son's is a protest from a position of supreme worthiness. Look, all these years I have been slaving for you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me even a young goat to celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours comes, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you kill the fattened calf for him. Let us be compassionate to this man. His pain is real. His argument is perfectly logical. It is the argument of fairness, of justice, of merit. He has lived his entire life within the transactional contract. I work, I obey, therefore I deserve you. And the Father's scandalous grace has just rendered his entire life's work meaningless. It has shattered the fundamental principle by which he has lived. And in his protest, he reveals the depth of his own alienation. He cannot call him my brother. He calls him this son of yours. He has severed his relationship not just with his brother, but in a way, with his father. And notice the language. I have been slaving for you. He does not see himself as a son, working in his father's house. He sees himself as a slave, working for a wage. He has been physically present in the house the entire time, but his heart has been in a far country of resentment, scorekeeping, and joyless duty. He is lost in his own home. And the father, in his second great act of grace in the story, does something remarkable. He leaves the party. He leaves the celebration for the found son to go out into the darkness and plead with a son who is lost in his own field of self-righteousness. His words are incredibly gentle. Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. He is trying to wake him up from his slave mentality. You are not a servant waiting for a paycheck. You are a son. You have had access to all of this the entire time. The joy, the celebration, the relationship. It was all yours for the taking. But you were too busy slaving in the field to notice. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. He gently corrects his language, reminding him of their shared humanity. This brother of yours. And there, the story ends. We do not know if the older brother went in, because the story is not about the sons. It is about the father. It is about a love that is not transactional, a grace that is not fair, a joy that is not conditional. It is a story that holds up a mirror to all of us and reveals that we are, at different times in our lives, both sons. Sometimes we are the younger son, running away in a desperate search for freedom, only to find ourselves in the pigsty of shame. And sometimes we are the older son, staying home, doing everything right, only to find our hearts hardened by the quiet poison of resentment and comparison. Both are states of profound lostness. Both are prisons of the ego. And the story offers only one way out. It is not a better apology, and it is not a more rigorous accounting of our merits. It is the shocking, undignified, relentless, scandalous love of a father who is always watching the road, ready to run, ready to leave the party to come find us, whether we are lost in the field or lost in a far country. So let's end with a simple act of self-reflection, a live benefit for our time together. Take a quiet moment right now and ask yourself, which lost son am I today? Whose speech am I rehearsing in my own mind? Is it the prodigal's desperate plea, "I am not worthy"? Or is it the elder brother's bitter protest, "I am not appreciated"? Just noticing which monologue is playing in your own heart is the first step toward home. Finding a spiritual home that has room for both of these brothers within us is the purpose of Soul Scripts. If this exploration has helped you see yourself more clearly in this ancient mirror, then our work has found its meaning. Subscribe to continue these honest conversations. And in the comments below, if you feel comfortable, you can simply write which brother you recognized in yourself today. You will not be alone. Thank you for walking this road with us.